Prepare for Change. NET and Cobra interview transcript. Lynn, welcome to all. Before we start today's interview with Cobra, I must take a moment to acknowledge all the people who have responded to my plea last month to help feed the people of Malawi. You were very generous. Please know that the people of Malawi thank you and pray for you. In my most recent email today from Enoch, he told me to tell everyone that we love all of you. I fully realize that there are people all over the world that are starving to death. I am only one person and I have a connection with Malawi. So, this is my part now to help these people. As we wait, and wait, and wait for the world to make a dramatic change for the positive, we have very real problems that can wait. It is up to us to help where we can. It is up to us to be proactive, to help where we see help is needed. It is us that will change the world. Feeding the people of Malawi is truly a humanitarian project that can wait for the financial reset or the event. People are dying every day and in every country of our world from a lack of needed food, water and shelter. It is up to us, the ones that have these basic needs, to help the ones that are in need. It is just common sense. We must stop the inequality in our world. There really is enough for all. This concept is just an adjustment in thinking. What we believe we create. The ultimate goal for Malawi is that they, as a people, become self-sufficient. That they are able to attain the needed instruments that will allow them to feed themselves and flourish in the future. Malawi will be my first humanitarian project, in memory of my friend Buzz. I will carry on his legacy to help bring the people of Malawi into the 21st century where they have all the advantages of the coming technology and blessings that their land will offer them. I am giving an open call to anyone that would like to join me in this mission. I need specialists in water, permaculture, land and animal farming, technology, communication, transportation, construction and healthcare. As you can see, this is going to be a big project. As you already know, Prepare for Change. NET has a foundation by the name of Nova GAIA. You can learn more about our Nova GAIA Foundation by going to our website www.novagaiafoundation.com, where you will find descriptions of already started projects to help benefit our world. We are expecting funding that can occur anytime in the future that will help fund all who have a plan to help improve, repair and benefit our world. Think about this. Have you ever had an idea that would benefit many but you didn't know how to financially bring it about? Would you like to be paid to help others with your good ideas? This is what will be possible in the near future. Please submit your ideas to prepareforchange.net web link. Of course, the projects that will fund first will be the projects that cover the basic needs: clean water, healthy food, shelter and care for Mother Earth. Until this funding manifests, I ask you to continue to support the Feed Malawi project. Can you imagine not having even one meal per day? How much energy would you have to function without fuel? I ask that future donations for Prepare for Change or for the Feed Malawi Fund be sent to the address here: 4530 Whittier Boulevard, Los Angeles, California, 90022. Please make checks payable to Prepare for Change with a notation for Malawi or for Prepare for Change PFC. Lynn, now I'd like to welcome our warrior of light and liaison with the RM resistance movement, Cobra. Hi Cobra. Lynn, welcome back Cobra to our August update with you. Cobra, thank you for your invitation. Lynn, okay. We'll go ahead and get started. Richard Cobra, do you have any suggestion for people who are having trouble listening or connecting to their inner guidance, their higher self? Cobra, okay, people who have trouble connecting with their inner guidance have been not using that inner guidance quite much in their past, and they need to start practicing. and then that inner guidance will get stronger and stronger. Richard, how would you tell the difference between your inner guidance and your regular thoughts? Cobra, your regular thoughts are just that, regular thoughts. Inner guidance is an intuition which transcends the mind. When you have that connection with your inner guidance, you know that you have a connection with our inner guidance because it gives you sincere trust in the truth that is reflected in that inner guidance. Thank you very much. Then Cobra, can you tell us what your interpretation of our mantra is? Cobra, a mantra is a certain word of power which can with interpretation create certain energetic and psychological effects. Then can you tell us what a yantra is? Cobra, a yantra is a sacred geometry symbol which has the same effect. Through a certain geometric resonance it influences higher dimensional vibrational frequencies and can create lasting effects there. Thank you. Richard, Cobra, why does Telugu and Sanskrit feel as if energy is coming or going as the words are being said? Cobra, oh, yes, there are some languages which have their roots in ancient Atlantean languages, and those languages were actually not just words, they were the vibration of many words in those languages was actually a mantra which created a certain effect. Especially with Sanskrit you have certain words which are made up of short mantras made up of old Atlantean languages. Thank you very much. Then Cobra, what's the purpose of sacred geometry? Cobra, the purpose of sacred geometry is to manifest harmony in the universe. Richard, Cobra, can you give an estimate of how many of our planets in the solar system are inhabited by life forms? Cobra, all planets are inhabited on a certain level, not on the physical, but plasma and etheric and astral level. All major bodies in the solar system are inhabited. Thank you. Then what is the galactic heartbeat and how does it relate to the event? Cobra, the galactic heartbeat or the galactic pulse is quite regular galactic cycle which activates the galactic sun every 25,000 years, and we are now entering a period when such a galactic pulse will happen, and this will coincide with a larger cosmic cycle and that will trigger the event. Then will the galactic heartbeat heal humans physically and mentally? Cobra, consequences of that galactic pulse will heal humanity. Then is the wave of energy from the galactic heartbeat going to be comparable to the wave of every that came to Earth in the late 1960s and throughout the 1970s, which raised consciousness of a small amount of humans? Cobra, it will be much, much, much stronger and on a much greater scale. Thank you. Richard, Cobra, when my Kundalini awakening happened, I was meditating, thinking on positive scenarios and watching the scenarios play out in my head. At that moment and the following 15 minutes I healed my knees and asthma, and lost most of my physical pain. Over the next 6 months I lost all physical pain and I connected with my higher self, and massive amounts of knowledge started to surface from within me. I felt like I was going crazy, but my higher self helped me to get through it by helping me to understand the knowledge I was remembering. Others who have had this Kundalini awakening were not so lucky and felt horrible and felt as if they were going crazy. What causes the Kundalini awakening, and can you suggest anything to help this process go a little easier? Cobra, okay, Kundalini awakening happens when there is a certain amount of openings in the central channel through which the Kundalini can arise. When this happens in the right way, you can have all those positive effects that you just described. When that Kundalini encounters a blockage and the blockage stops the flow of Kundalini energy, it can lead to quite intense psychological problems and sometimes also physical problems. So it has to be done correctly. There are exercises and technique that can assist in proper activation of Kundalini. Richard, what do you mean by blockages? Can you explain that? Cobra, blockages are just that. Blockages in the flow of energy. Richard, so would the blockage be inside internally, or would it mentally or in your chakra system? Cobra, it will be in one or more of your bodies. It could be etheric, it could be plasma, emotional, mental. It could be all of that. It could even be a physical implant. Great. Thank you very much. Lynn Cobra, do you have any suggestions or technique to help people control their thoughts? Cobra, people do not need to control their thoughts. It is not the purpose. I don't see any purpose in controlling the thoughts. Richard Cobra, do archons send us negative thoughts? Cobra, I would say they use technology to send negative mental images and negative thoughts, but mostly not on the mental plane. Most of this is happening on the etheric and plasma plane. Richard, are there any suggestions or anything we can do to stop this? Cobra, yes, you can of course stop identifying yourself with that as much as possible and be independent in your thinking process as much as possible. Do not spend too much time in the mass media and think independently your own head. Richard, is there any way to stop these beings from even being able to see you? Can we call on the Galactic Confederation to stop this? Cobra, they can assist, and you can become invisible simply by raising your vibrational frequency to the point where they cannot even reach you. Richard, beautiful. Thank you. Cobra, how can you get rid of negative souls or demons who talk to people and give them negative guidance? Cobra, you do not need to attach to them, you do not need to interact with them. It's that simple. If they come, just tell them to go away. Thank you very much. It's the same as with the physical people. You decide, you choose your own company. I like that, thank you. Lynn Cobra, is it true that the soul enters and exists through the eyes? Cobra, the soul can enter and exit through many openings in the body, though many chakras. Eyes are the windows to the soul, and it is one of the many openings for the soul. Lynn, does the soul reside in the body, or does the body reside in the soul? Cobra, the soul incarnates in the body, or shall I say it projects one part of its essence into the body. Then is there such a thing as a soul-catching machine? Cobra, yes, there is. There are certain technologies that the dark forces have used with strong magnetic fields and plasma scalar waves which have trapped the souls and pushed them into the physical body. This was happening a lot since 1996 in the underground bases. Richard Cobra, you mentioned in 1999 most of the souls on Earth had been evacuated from the astral plane to one of the planets in the Pleiades. Where do souls go now? For example, many people have died since 1999 and continue to die every day. Are these souls going to the Pleiades or to another location? Cobra, these souls are not going to the Pleiades, they enter through the plasma tunnel and exit to the etheric and astral planes, and they spend their time there around planet Earth. They are not going to the Pleiades now. Okay. Thank you. Richard, are they safe where they are at? Cobra, some of them yes, some of them no. Thank you. Lynn, how is it decided whether they are in a safe place or not? Do they have control over that? Cobra, it depends on their state of consciousness and their circumstances. Some of them have more control of this, some of them less. You need to understand that the plasma and etheric planes and one part of the astral plane are not safe areas yet. Got you, thank you. Then what do the more advanced ETS say about the proof that the souls exists or about the essence that animates the human body? Cobra, you don't need to prove that the soul exists because every sentient being is a soul and you need to prove that you exist. There is no need to prove to yourself or to anybody else that you exist because you know that you exist. Thank you. Richard Cobra, what happens to the souls of bad guys who might die between now and the event? Cobra, it depends on the extent of their disconnection with the source. If there is still connection between incarnated soul, or should I say, with the incarnated being and the soul, those souls will go through a certain purification process and will also join the light forces at a certain point. If they don't have that connection, they will be taken to the galactic central sun. When that region where they are, most of them are on the plasma plane, some on the etheric plane and some on the lower astral plane, will be removed from there and taken to the central sun. Thank you very much. Lynn, are the Jesuits and black nobility part of the black magicians of old Atlantis? Cobra, yes. Richard, Cobra, for each of us at the time of the event, does compression breakthrough include a situation when the Kundalini arises in each of us? Is it met with light coming from above as well? Cobra, I would say that the moment of the event does not mean that the Kundalini will completely rise in everybody. It just means that there will be a certain amount of spiritual awakening and Kundalini activation going through a certain part of the population. This process will be gradual and will start at the moment of the event. Great, thank you very much. Then Cobra, can you tell us a little more about what happens when 144,000 people meditate? Cobra, if that number of people meditates, we reach the critical mass, and if any one type of meditation they use, this creates a resonance field around the planet that helps to manifest that for those people, for what those people are meditating about. So it's then you have a very strong resonance field which can influence the planetary situation. Then would this be considered a phase transition? Cobra, it can assist in the phase transition. It can be considered one aspect of the phase transition. Then if we activated the 144,000 at the weekly event meditations, would the event occur regardless of what else is going on in the world? Cobra, it doesn't mean that it would occur immediately, but it would be greatly and drastically accelerated, and it would happen in a much, much easier way. Lynn, are the light forces monitoring how many are meditating each week during the Sunday event meditation? Cobra, yes, of course. Richard, Cobra, can you tell us what percentage of the desired 144,000 are meditating on Sunday at the time you indicated? Cobra, very small percentage. Very, very small percentage. Thank you. Lynn, do you have some suggestions on how we can increase this? Cobra, it is up to people's free will. I will not continue encouraging people to do that because it needs to come from inside, and when the situation is ready, it will come from inside. Then what is the significance of the number 144,000? When we meditate together, why are we trying to reach 144,000 people? Cobra, it is a certain number which is the right number of people for the amount of population on this planet right now. For example, if you have about 7-8 billion people, the critical mass is a little bit, I would say around 120,000, and if not everybody is meditating 100%, then 144,000 is a good symbolic number which represents the current situation and the desire of critical mass. Then you've also talked about 144,000 people associated with the Order of the Star. Can you talk a little more about the Order of the Star? Cobra, okay. I have actually posted many messages and many articles about this on my blog in the past, and you would need to be a little bit more specific with this question. Then is it possible for people to be part of the Order of the Star and not know it? Cobra, yes, of course. Richard, Cobra, is there anything else we can do other than the event meditation and inner work to speed up the event? Cobra, yes. Of course you can do whatever you can do within your power to spread information and awaken people, especially through electronic media. This is one of the most influential factors right now to accelerate the process. Thank you. Then you have said that the compression breakthrough will come when the energy from the center of the earth breaks through to the energy on the outside of the earth, if I am quoting you correctly. We are continually hearing about the big galactic superwave that is coming from space, but what energy is going on in the center of the Earth? Cobra. Okay. The center of the Earth is a stargate, and this stargate will be triggered by the galactic pulse, and the energy of that stargate in the center of the Earth will reach the surface. But compression breakthrough is not only speaking about that. It means that the light forces from below the surface will reach to the surface, and our star brothers and sisters in the sky will descend to a certain degree and reach the surface as well. Then is the energy from the center of the Earth and different from the galactic superwave? Cobra. In a way it is an energy of the galactic superwave filtered through a certain, I would say, energy filter and then distributed throughout the planet. Thank you. Richard. Another question on the same subject was from a listener who asked, is the body's Kundalini associated with this? With this superwave that is coming and the stargate that is coming from the center? Cobra. Yes, of course. At the arrival of the superwave will accelerate the Kundalini activation. Richard. Cobra. What would a stargate look like? Is it energy? Is it a form, or is it physical? Cobra. It is. I would say it's a hyperdimensional doorway which connects physical planes with non-physical planes in higher dimensions. Thank you. Richard. You say this is at the core of the Earth, at the center of the Earth? Cobra. Yes, one stargate is located there. Thank you. Then Cobra, when you recently referred to the sneeze of the galactic central sun, were you talking about the galactic superwave that will arrive on Earth to start the event? Cobra. Yes. Then what can we expect to experience when the sun sneezes? Cobra. The event. Then but will we feel this physically or some other way? Will we be able to sense it? Cobra. You will be able to feel the energies of this in many different ways. Thank you. Richard. Cobra. After the event, will we have ways of protecting ourselves physically and mentally from negative forces, or will the negative forces be minimized so we don't have to worry about protection? Cobra. The negative forces will be absolutely removed after the event. Thank you. Lynn. After the event, will the relationships between men and women improve? Will there be less competition between certain men for a certain woman, and will people be able to find more fulfillment in their personal relationships? Cobra. After the event, the archons will be removed and they will not be able to interfere with relationships anymore. So many of the old conflicts and old drama which is now existing between men and women will simply disappear, and true love will be discovered again. Because the way will be removed and the relationships will drastically improve at that point. Then is there anything that you can suggest currently that we can do until that happens? Cobra. It is the highest purpose for people to stop fighting with each other and for them to begin to realize that the conflicts are engineered and enlarged by technology and by the archons and starting to support each other. It is very simple to say that. It is not so easy to do that, but this is the way to go. It's a very simple advice but very effective if somebody will try to practice it in real life. Lynn. Very good advice. Thank you. Richard. Cobra. After the event, if people wanted to move to beautiful and remote locations, will they be able to? Cobra. Yes. Then will we be united with our loved ones and be able to contact them? Will they be able to appear to us in physical form? Cobra. After the event, after some time there will be certain technologies which will allow communication between physical and non-physical planes. Thank you. Then please visit our website www.preparaforchange.net and subscribe to our updates. They will give you cutting-edge information on the real topics of interest for our awake community. We also invite all to participate as volunteers of Prepare for Change if you feel so inclined. Click on this link, preparaforchange.net web link. Seeking specialized volunteers. I am seeking to form a select team of audio editors so that we may begin to post a wealth of audio talks from our great list of speakers that have graced us with their knowledge. Please send me an email to lynn@preforchange.net. The Prepare for Change website is forming a small team to optimize the site for all search engines and social media platforms. If you have skills in this area, please consider joining our team. If you can help, please email dane@preforchange.net or go to the PFC website and use the volunteer form under the Participate menu. Richard Cobra: when twin flames find each other, do they need to be physically near one another to anchor divine feminine energy, or can they work far apart from one another? Cobra: the meetings between twin souls are not happening yet, but when they will begin to happen, the strongest connection is when they are connected physically, but that connection can also happen without that physical connection. Richard: is it true that many ascended masters are incarnating in these times through a process that does not involve birth? Cobra: there are no ascended beings on the surface of this planet at this very moment. Thank you. Lynn Cobra: there is something called the Mandela effect, named for Nelson Mandela. The Mandela effect is the theory that time or reality is being manipulated, or there are parallel universes. What do you think about this? Cobra: I cannot confirm this theory, and I do not completely agree with this. Okay. Richard Cobra: are density levels determined by frequencies or something else? Cobra: they are actually determined by the relation between spirit and matter, and vibrational frequency of that relationship between spirit and matter determines which frequency or density or dimension we are speaking about. Got you. Richard: are vibrational frequencies measured in happiness, or how do you measure someone's vibrational frequencies? Cobra: current science is not yet ready to measure those, but vibrational frequencies are defined by the amount of the interaction between spirit and matter in any particular area or whatever we are measuring. Thank you. Lynn: are there the different dimensions the same as different densities? Could the dimensions be described like this: 3D physical, 4D etheric, 5D astral, or is there a better way of describing dimensions? Cobra: okay. I can simplify this. 3D physical, 4D plasma etheric and astral. 5D higher mental, and 6D is the soul plane, and there are of course higher dimensional planes. I tried to simplify this as much as possible. Thank you. Richard Cobra: are reptilians and Pleiadians in different densities than we are? Cobra: the Pleiadians can manifest on the physical, or they can inhabit higher planes the same as the reptilians, but their vibrational frequencies are different. Of course the Pleiadians are much more highly evolved. Thank you. Richard: are there still ETS in the third dimension, or the same level as us? Cobra: I would say that each of us in an ET, so I would say yes. Thank you. Lynn: do dark entities and dark beings still live in the fourth dimension? Cobra: yes. Lynn: can you update us on the progress of removing the dark entities and dark beings? Cobra: I would say the situation on the plasma etheric and astral planes is getting much better, especially since July there was a certain breakthrough which allowed certain amount of light to come directly through those planes, and the number of negative begins on those planes is reducing drastically since July. We are really making progress now. Awesome, thank you, good to hear. Richard Cobra: can you give a progress report on the removal of toplet bombs, plasma strange lead bombs and plasma bombs? Cobra: the vast majority of plasma strange lead bombs have been completely removed. The main problem now are the plasma toplet bombs, and I would say there is progress being made, but I cannot be more specific. Thank you very much. Then energetic attacks seem to be the primary cause of two main external forces, negative entities and plasma-based scalar weapons. Would you agree with this? Cobra: I would completely agree with this. Thank you. Richard: Cobra: it feels like a majority of recent interference is from scalar weapons and attacks from etheric astral planes seem to be decreasing. Can you tell us what you think about this? Cobra: as I've said before, a lot of this has been removed lately since July 2016. Thank you. Then Cobra: I have understood that the soul weighs 21 grams. What material is the soul made of? Cobra: this is not the soul, this is the weight of the plasma and etheric body. And actually the actual weight is a little bit less, but this is approximate. There are some experiments being made of the weight of the physical body just before that and after that when the plasma, etheric and higher bodies have left the physical bodies, so this differs. It's a few grams in most cases. Richard: does the soul stay around the body once you leave, once the body is dead? Cobra: it can linger around the body for some time, but when it loses its attachment to the physical body it can go and be free and go to higher planes. Thank you. Then what density does the soul exist in? Cobra: as I've said before, the sixth dimension or sixth density is the area where or vibrational frequency where the soul exists. And you would say that the soul is eternal? Cobra: yes. Thank you. Richard: Cobra: is a central race civilization helping directly to clear the Chimera group, or what are they doing in relative to the Earth's liberation? Cobra: yes, they are assisting quite intensely and quite directly in that process. Thank you. Lynn: are they the same group as the wing makers that GOODE talks about called the blue AVIANS with the huge blue spheres? Cobra: all those wing makers and GOODE's blue AVIANS are, I would say, interpretations of the central race from one particular individual perspective. I would say the interpretation of one aspect of that race from an individual perspective. Then can you tell us how we might begin to communicate with the AGHARTIANs or other beings within the inner earth? Cobra: I will release certain protocols about this in the near future. I will not say this now, but I will release certain things about this in the near future. Thank you. Richard: has the Inner Earth AGHARTIANS network always maintained its contact with the Galactic Confederation? Cobra: certain factions, yes, certain factions, no. Thank you. The yogis and saints say they have seen many enlightened beings and deities enter an object or person. Can you tell us the significance of this? Why does this occur? Cobra: it is simply because those higher evolved beings who are connecting and assisting in the evolution of those beings. Richard: Cobra: can you tell us what you think about Archangel Metatron? This reader has read that he has risen above the 144th dimension. Can you tell us anything about this? Cobra: I would not agree with that. I would say that he is the guardian of the specter of the galaxy and he is overseeing the process of the transformation of the primary anomaly in this sector of the galaxy. Thank you very much. Then many times the artists' interpretations of ETS are that they are light-skinned Caucasians, especially the Pleiadians and Arcturians. GOODE says there are many races of ETS. Are the Ray ET races that look like our own Africans and Asians? Cobra: yes, there are many races that have different color of the skin. Some of them look like human and other races, and some of them look completely different, so we have a whole spectrum out there. And this would be the same with the Native Americans. Cobra: yes, of course. Okay. Richard: Cobra: on May 10, 2012 you wrote that the leader of the Archons on the physical plane has been arrested on May 5 by the resistance forces and taken off planet. He has crossed over to the light and is now free willingly assisting the planetary liberation process. Later on July 15, 2012 you wrote something similar that the Archon leader went to the galactic central sun, so now the Cabal are worshipping something that no longer exists. The question is this former leader of the Archon now assisting with the planetary liberation process, or does he not exist anymore? Cobra: he was assisting the light forces for a short period of time, but when he had realized what he had done in the past, he volunteered to be disintegrated in the galactic central sun and his wish was granted. So he does not exist anymore. And there are certain factions of the Cabal that are worshipping that entity without realizing that that entity does not exist anymore as individual being. Nowhere in this universe and nowhere anywhere else. He does not exist anymore. It's a thing of the past. Well, thank you. Richard: also on July 12, 2014 you wrote, on the physical plane the current Archon leader lies near Rome. Is this person alive or has he surrendered or been taken away? Cobra: that person does not live near Rome anymore. This is as much as I can say. That person has been relocated and lost most of its power, one way or the other. Thank you very much. Then Cobra: this question is about Yaldabaoth, the octopus. You have said he is a living entity. Does he have DNA that is related to an octopus? Cobra: it is not a physical living entity and doesn't need DNA. I see it's a plasma energy being. Then did he come from another planetary system? Cobra: that entity came from a certain section of sector of the Andromeda galaxy, went through the Orion and finally ended up in the solar system. Then is Yaldabaoth some kind of leader? Cobra: yes, he is one of the fallen angels for the Archons. Then for whom is he a leader? Is it the Archons? Cobra: for the Archons. Yes. Then do the Archons control him or he's just their leader? Cobra: in a way he is controlling them because he manipulates a large percentage of plasma in the solar system. I see. Then the veil, which extends roughly 8.6 miles above the Earth's surface, and the plasma octopus called Yaldabaoth, how is the Yaldabaoth situation? Is it vanishing? Cobra: it is. This plasma entity, I would say, the plasma body of that entity is slowly being disintegrating or transformed into pure light as the light forces are progressing. Awesome. Yay, thank you. Richard: Cobra: how can we light workers and light warrior protect ourselves from infrasound weapons that you said in the past RTV broadcast and movies? Does meditation help? Cobra: okay, infrasound is quite a challenging situation. Sometimes the only thing that helps release to relocate to some other location. If you cannot relocate to some other location, everything that raises your vibrational frequency can help. Also swimming in the water can help a lot because water is a natural shield against the harmful scalar aspect of the infrasound. Thank you very much. Then Cobra: do you have any advice for light workers who find themselves in desperate situations without resources and even sometimes homeless? Is there any place in the world that these people can go to live and be more, that would be more beneficial and help them to do their light work? Cobra: okay. Those people would need to understand the law of manifestation. First your decisions, then visualize where you would like to go, what you would like to manifest to assist in that. Many people who are in desperate financial situations are located in the Western world and US and Europe, and if they would relocate to much cheaper place to live, somewhere in Asia for example, they would need much less money for basic alive necessities and they would be able to focus more of their energy into spiritual work. This is one option. Of course there are other options. This is just one of the options that is possible. Thank you, Cobra. Then I invite you to continue to help Repara4Change.net with your contribution, which shows that you like our content. Please use the donate button on the right hand side of the website or use the postal address in our transcript. Be sure to note that this donation is for Prepare for Change. Be sure to meditate on Sundays with us at 7 p.m. GMT. Join or create an event support group. See preparaforchange.net web link. Please continue to submit your questions for these Cobra interviews to preparaforchange.net web link. Cobra questions can be found under Cobra RM and Media tabs. Richard Cobra, researchers and doctors have recently stated a low-cost sodium chloride, not chloride, is a mixture of non-harmful chemicals that when combined kills many diseases. Can you tell us what you know about sodium chloride and its effectiveness in healing the human body? Cobra: okay. I would say there are many natural chemical substances and this is one of them which can assist. And the key here is always balance. Not choosing too much, not choosing too little, and using your own inner guidance when doing that, because there are many people out there with many claims what can help and what cannot and various effects of various substances. And again I would say use your inner guidance about all this. Thank you very much. Lynn Cobra: we are being damaged by vaccines. Is there any energy healing treatments that you can recommend that would help us to heal the damage from vaccines? Cobra: I have answered this question once and I will answer it shortly again. There are certain detoxification protocols that can effectively clear the body from the harmful side effects of the vaccines. And you can, if you search for them, you will find them. Thank you. Richard Cobra: you wrote in August 2015 that the mineral version of the elixir of life was more powerful than the herbal one. Can you tell us more about his Pleiadian elixir in reference to the Pleiadian elixir? Are these ingredient substances available here on Earth? Cobra: actually the Pleiadian elixir is not the elixir of life. As I was referring to the chemical elixir of life, the Pleiadian elixir is just a certain daily food for the Pleiadians which rejuvenates their physical body and gives them as much energy they need for their rejuvenations and maintenance of the body. It is not the same thing. Richard: is there any way, Cobra? And of course it is charged with very high vibrational energy. Okay. Thank you very much. Lynn Cobra: is Reiki healing a real working technique? Cobra: yes, it is, but there are much more advanced and much more effective healing techniques available on the planet right now. Lynn: is Reiki a tool of the light forces? Cobra: yes, basically yes. Thank you. Richard Cobra: can you name some other healing techniques that do work better? Cobra: I cannot. I know them. I was instructed not to release their names to the public. People need to search for them themselves. Thank you very much. Richard Cobra: after the event, how quickly will medical technologies or healing chambers be available to the general public? Cobra: as fast as people can integrate those changes and as fast as they can distribute them among each other. And I'm expecting for the healing chambers to be ready, I would say, maybe half a year, 1 year, or next one's a few years after the event. Thank you very much. Lynn: can we expect some spontaneous healing during or after the event? Cobra: yes, there will be cases of that during and also after the event. Lynn: does DNA also have encoded instructions for the functions of energy bodies like the etheric, astral and mental bodies? Cobra: yes, especially that part of the DNA that some people erroneously call the junk DNA. It has those functions inside. Thank you. Richard Cobra: was Terence McKenna, who died in 1980, a PSYOP agent who steered people away from exopolitics and ETS? Cobra: no. Thank you. Lynn: can you tell us what the role of these 4 people have to play in the liberation of the planet? Neil Keenan, Drake, General Dunsford and Thomas Williams. Cobra: okay. I cannot comment on the work of other people. I would say that certain of those individuals are or have in the past brought certain important elements of information for the planetary liberation. But I cannot comment individually. I would just say that certain people from that group have contributed quite effectively to the planetary liberation. Thank you for that. Richard Cobra, you said in an interview months ago that Paul McCartney was not replaced with a clone. How about Bob Dylan, who is said to have been portrayed by several different people over the decades? Cobra, okay, that rumor of celebrity cloning is most cases not found on reality. Copied that, thank you. Lynn, okay, this question is about the Pythagorean Illuminati. Can you tell us what you know about the Pythagorean Illuminati, the secret society that has worked for the light against the old world order? Cobra, okay. This is a touchy subject. There are actually two groups that claim to have that name. One of them is quite positive and the other one is not so positive. There was an ancient split between those groups dating, I would say, about 2,000 years ago, and the more positive faction actually works for the light. And members of that faction have inspired certain people who were in certain positions in the Western society in the last few hundred years and have triggered certain positive changes. That group is still quite much underground. They are not exposing themselves to the limelight and are quietly working together with some, I would say, positive Templar groups and other positive groups that claim to have knowledge from all Gnostic traditions. Then was this society founded by Pythagoras? Cobra, initially yes. As I said, after his death there was a split. Then did they truly coordinate the three positive revolutions, the American, French and Russian revolutions? Cobra, okay, this is a delicate situation again because there were many factors which contributed to those revolutions. They were behind the American Revolution. They were to a certain degree behind the French Revolution, and they were certainly not behind the Russian Revolution. Then all three of these failed in the end because of infiltration by the cabal. Is this correct? Cobra, this is not absolutely correct. I would say the American Revolution, or shall I say the American independence, was a big success initially. The French Revolution was partially successful in expelling the Jesuits, but then again the Archons have infiltrated that situation there and misused it, while the Russian Revolution, I would say the October Revolution in 1917, was engineered by the Jesuits to engineer the fall of the Romanov dynasty and to introduce the mass programming cult of communism in Russia. Then this goes on to say they call themselves Hyperboreans, which means that nobody can find any of them on this planet. What does Hyperborean mean? Cobra, this is a symbolic memory of ancient, I would say, the Hyperborean race, which was a mythical race that existed on the etheric plane before Lemuria and Atlantis on this planet. Lynn, okay. This writer goes on to state, this group, I understand, calls Alexander Romanov a charlatan at their official website, and this website is listed in our notes. Do you have any other comments on this group? Cobra, I would say that there are many people who claim to be someone, or they might be or might be not. I will not go deeper in this. Okay, thank you, Cobra. Richard Cobra, in ancient Sumerian text the god Anu had two sons and one was Enki. Can you tell us more about him and his relationship to Earth now and what he's doing? Cobra, okay, I would put it this way. Much of that mythology has been distorted to such a degree that it is not having any relation to what actually occurred at that time. There has been so much distortion and programming regarding this. Thank you. Richard, would you say the Sumerians at that time were visited by these archons and given false information or given ways to create the civilization? Cobra, I would say that a civilization was a mixture of, there was a lot of ET interference both by positive and negative races. It was a melting pot like the USA is right now. It was quite a similar situation, and there were so many interest groups involved in that situation that people, I would say that nobody had the clear whole picture of what was actually going on at that time. Thank you. Then who are the 7 families of the tribes of light, and can you explain their story? Cobra. Okay. I cannot refer to this. This is basically an idea of somebody who, people have different ideas and different concepts, and I'm not familiar with that particular concept and what that person is referring to. Okay. Thank you, Cobra. Richard. Cobra, can you tell us about Michael of Nebadan? Is he incarnated here on Earth? What is his purpose? Cobra. This is most likely coming from the Aranta book, and I will not comment on this more. Thank you. Then what can you tell us about the prophecies of the Hopi, especially those that talked about the 4 peoples of Earth, red, yellow, black and white? Cobra. Okay, basically some of the Hopi prophecies were speaking about the event, and I would say one faction of the Hopi race went underground and joined the AGHARTIAN network a long time ago. Their faction actually emerged from underground, and this was how the Hopi nation was actually formed. If you go long back enough in the history of the Hopi nation, they actually came from Sirius and the Pleiades. Their prophecies are speaking especially strongly about this time. They are speaking about 4 main races on the surface of the planet and their role in the coming changes and the event. Are the Hopis receiving this information from source when they give these prophecies? Cobra. Okay. I would say those prophecies were given, most of them were given quite much time ago, and much of this was coming from the collective memory, from the lineages, because as I've said before, they came from the Pleiadian and SIRIAN star system, and they have a strong spiritual connection with those 2 star systems, and they understand what's going on. So these are the ET groups that they are connected to in particular. Cobra. Yes, among others. Okay, thank you. Richard. Cobra, can you talk about zero-point energy devices created by Thomas E. Bearden and John Bedini, about anything else you know about zero-point energy? How close are we to seeing it? Cobra. Okay, they have created certain devices. I have yet to see a working device that can be put into mass production. There are many people with many claims, many promises, but I still haven't encountered a working prototype that could be put into mass production at this moment. Thank you. Cobra, I have a question about the parent of all magnetic motor. I think we touched on this last month about cars and converting them over. Do you know about this parent of all magnetic motor? Cobra. I have heard about it. Okay. Any other information about this, or is this in development, do you know? Cobra. It is, as I've informed, this is still in development. Okay. Prepare for Change has been called to help fund humanitarian projects around the world. Therefore we are calling all inclined light workers who have humanitarian projects to begin the process by submitting summaries via our website preparaforchange.net web link. You will find the project description form under Programs tab. Instructions preparaforchange.net web link. For completed project presentation, please email projects@preparaforchange.net. Richard. Cobra, the Swiss recently voted to reject a guaranteed basic income. You stated previously that there would be a guaranteed basic income for all after the event. Are you aware of the Swiss or any other country trying to put into place a guaranteed income, and was the Swiss vote rigged? Cobra. It was not rigged directly, but there was a lot of manipulation directed towards the Swiss, manipulation through the Swiss mass media to convince them to vote for no. I see, and I would say a great percentage of Swiss people are quite obedient, and they follow what their puppet masters tell them through the mass media, and they voted for no. Thank you. Then what is the quickest way for us to transition to a resource-based economy? Cobra, the event. Good answer. Then what are the key elements needed to facilitate this immediately? Cobra, okay. I have answered this question many times and it is strongly related to the event. There can be no resource-based economy before the event inside of the old system. They are not compatible. Then isn't that what BRICS is trying to do, to use the resources of the countries as their backing for their currencies? Cobra, I would not say they are trying to do this. I would say they are doing this and they are actively preparing for the event. That's a good thing. Richard, Cobra, do you think signing petitions are effective in convincing our leaders to make positive changes, or are petitions mostly useful because they change the energy around the subject and bring issues into the public consciousness? Cobra, they bring issues into the public consciousness, and when there is enough understanding within the public, then the change happens. Thank you. Then is there a higher purpose to the Chinese tektite? Cobra, the Chinese tektites are part of the big group of tektites that fell on this planet a little bit less than 1 million years ago and connects with the Orion stargates, and it transforms relatively into oneness. Then does it have a vibration that would assist us? Cobra, it can assist you if you are ready to face your own inner fears and shadows and transform them. Richard, Cobra, are there any energy vortexes in China? Can you tell us about them? Cobra, there are many energy vortexes in China, but I will not give location at this point yet. Thank you. Then Cobra, can you tell us a little about the origin of the Japanese people? Did they carry anything with them from their planet of origin? Cobra, I would say certain percentage of Japanese population has strong alien DNA. I would put it this way, and actually Japanese emperors believe they came from other stars. Leaders of many countries and many people from many countries are having that alien DNA. I would say a little bit less than 1% of human population is actually not human. They were coming from other star systems. Nice, thank you. Richard, Cobra, this person tells us he or she is Egyptian. Who controls Egypt now? Cobra, it is like in every country. There is a good faction and negative faction, and the good faction in Egypt gained a lot of power in the last few years after the Egyptian revolution. And the most negative elements have been removed from Egypt a few years ago. Nice. Richard, I hear rumors about the current president was killed and the government is hiding this. Is this true? Cobra, I cannot confirm those rumors. Thank you. Then I have a question from someone who states, I have noticed some new kinds of clouds, puffy white single clouds just on the horizon in an otherwise clear blue sky. Are these angelic beings or are these clouds? Cobra, these are clouds, but this reflects current purification of the higher planes, and when the plasma plane gets clear, also the clouds which actually reflect the changes in the plasma field can have more subtle and more beautiful shapes. Yes, there is a change in that direction. Richard, Cobra, at the time of the event, what will happen to occupied countries? Cobra, the whole planet is an occupied country and all this will be changed. Great, thank you. Then so in each country where they're trying to throw out a faction that has come from a different part, that will resolve and people will just start to get along? Cobra, that will resolve, yes. Yay. Then can you tell us what PLUM means in the Taiwan Ascension Conference report? Cobra, I would say there is a certain positive group which has a certain role in the planetary liberation process. There are many positive groups which have not been mentioned anywhere, and nobody outside of people behind the scenes are aware of their presence, and this is one of those groups. Thank you. Richard, Cobra, we are aware of the surrender negotiations of the Rothschilds. However, is there any group doing the same with the Jesuits and the black nobility families? Cobra, at this moment they are not actually negotiating. They are manipulating, and I would not call this negotiations at this point. Thank you. They are not as far in the surrender process yet. Thank you very much. Then Cobra, does something special happen to a person after death if he or she dies by committing suicide? Cobra, the general promises is the same, but the psychological mechanic is different, and it depends much on how this person sees or views his or her own action. If there is a lot of self-judgment, of course the process is not so easy, and if a person understands and have made this decision by their free will, they can actually have quite an easy journey to higher planes, except if they have certain attachments with the other forces or if there is a lot of Archon interference. It is still not safe out there. I see. Richard Cobra, how will languages be used in the future? Is there a language that is more important now or will be more important in the near future on Earth? Cobra, there will be some changes in languages after the event, which will be slow at first, but then after the first contact especially, people will begin to understand the galactic perspective more, and telepathy will begin to be used also, so there will be a lot of changes in that area. Thank you very much. Then just a couple more questions, Cobra. I have one on one of Benjamin Fulford's articles that publicly announced the existence of a Freemasonry organization called Hung, or Chinese Freemasonry or Asian Freemasonry. He said the secret organization is revealing itself, and it is currently recruiting members in Japan or elsewhere too. Do you know if this is true? Cobra, yes. Of course it is true, and people who would like to join them or a particular organization can find their websites online. They have representatives everywhere on the planet, also in the Asian communities in the West, in Chinatown for example, in NY, in San Francisco. Other places have their buildings, they have their websites, and if somebody would like to join them, of course can join them. Thank you. Richard Cobra. What is the relationship, if any, between the veil, which extends roughly 8.6 miles above the Earth, and the plasma octopus? Cobra, the plasma octopus expands throughout the whole solar system, and the veil, the innermost part of the veil, does not extend beyond 8.6 miles, and this is a section which has the most concentration of plasma technologies. Scalar technologies and many of the technologies cannot extend beyond that point. Thank you very much. Then Cobra, who are the Baal, Baal and Moloch? This person say at times I have read that Baal is equivalent to one of the others of those names. Are they archons or minions thereof? Cobra, they are archons, and some of them were quite influential in certain periods of human history, and they were viewed as gods by human population who worshipped them and sacrificed animals and humans to calm their anger. Lynn, okay. Cobra. Well, we can end it right here. And just carry on with these questions next time, and the new questions from our listeners and readers that crop up during the month. Cobra, okay. Very good. Lynn, I very much appreciate you coming and being with us for this hour, and thank you so much for all the good information that you've imported. Cobra, okay. You're very welcome. Richard, thank you very much, Cobra. Cobra, thank you.